I have 2 words for you. Brush your teeth!
No matter where you are in the world, you likely have used one of these everyday objects in the last 24 hours. A toothbrush, zipper, umbrella, paperclip, or tea bag. If you haven't used any of these in the last 24 hours, even a toothbrush, and you don't live in the jungle, you nasty.
Oh, you nasty.
But if you can't imagine life without a toothbrush, you're lucky you weren't born in England before the late 18th century. Until then, the traditional method of brushing was using a rag with soot and salt. Every day, we use these objects, but we never think too deeply about how these inventions were made. This is some of the things that fascinates me. What's the history behind these everyday objects that are so essential to our lives that we can't do without them? Starting with the modern paperclip. Ever tried to imagine what the world would look like without paperclips? Crazy, right? But believe it or not, there was a time when organizing papers was a real challenge. Before the trusty paperclip, people had to get pretty creative with their paper fastening methods. First up, we have pins. Yes, you heard that right, plain old pins. Back in the day, people straight up used pins, similar to the ones you will find in a sewing kit to hold their papers together. Sure, they got the job done, but can you imagine the number of accidental finger pricks? Ouch! Next, we have wax seals. Now, these weren't just fancy letters and secret messages. People would actually melt wax and use it to seal multiple sheets of paper together. It was effective, but a bit messy and not exactly practical for everyday use. Plus, it's hard to imagine your boss being thrilled with melted wax all over important documents. And let's not forget the eyelets and thread. This method involved punching small holes in the papers and threading them together with a piece of string, kind of like a DIY notebook. It works well for keeping things secure, but it was a bit labor intensive. I don't want to spend hours punching holes in a paper. Plus, it wasn't exactly easy to flip through your pages. Last but not least, we have clips and clasps. These were the true ancestors of the modern paperclip. Early versions were made of metal or wire and came in all sorts of shapes and sizes. They weren't as sleek or standardized as the paperclips we know today, but they were definitely a step in the right direction. Believe it or not, this tiny tool has quite the backstory, and it all starts in the late 1800s. It's the late 19th century and people are getting tired of poking themselves with pins and messing around with wax seals. Enter Johan Valla, a Norwegian inventor who, in 1899, came up with the design of a paperclip. Now, Valla's design was a bit different from what we use today. It worked, but it didn't have quite the staying power of the design that would come to dominate. It didn't have the sexy curves of the modern paperclip. Fast forward a few years and we meet the true star of the story, the gem paperclip. This design, patented in the late 1800s by the British company Gem Manufacturing, became the gold standard of paperclips. The Gem paperclip is the classic double loops design that we all know and love. It's simple, efficient, and let's be honest, kind of elegant in its own way. So what made the Gem paperclip so special? Well, it's all about those sexy loops. The double loop design creates a springy grip that holds papers securely without tearing them. Plus, it's easy to slip on and off, no more fumbling with pins or melting wax.
If we didn't have a paperclip on this folder, it could open. But because we have this little metal thing, it won't open. If you attach it in such a way, you have to pull this middle part open, slide it in, bam!
Here's a fun twist. Johan Valla's initial contribution didn't go unrecognized. In fact, during World War I, Norwegians wore paperclips on their lapels as a symbol of resistance against Nazi occupation. Even though it wasn't Valla's exact design they wore on their lapel, it's a testament to how this little invention became a powerful symbol beyond its everyday use. Today, the gem paperclip is so ubiquitous that we hardly give it a second thought. But think about it. Every time you grab one, you're using a piece of history that's over a century old. It's proof that sometimes the simplest ideas are the ones that stick around the longest. In ancient China around 2737 BCE, legend has it that Emperor Shen Nong discovered tea when some leaves accidentally blew into a pot of boiling water. He took a sip and voila, tea was born. This magical beverage quickly became a staple in Chinese culture, celebrated for its soothing properties and rich flavors. Fast forward a few thousand years and tea makes its way to Japan, where it becomes an integral part of Zen Buddhism and the Japanese tea ceremony. By the 17th century, European traders catch wind of this delightful drink and tea starts making its way to the West. Fast forward to the early 20th century in America, enter Thomas Sullivan, a New York tea merchant. In 1908, Sullivan had a clever idea to send tea samples to his customers in small silk pouches, thinking it would be a cute and convenient way to package his product. And here's the kicker. His customers thought these little silk bags were meant to be dunked directly into hot water. And just like that, the tea bag was born. Imagine Sullivan's surprise when he found out people were brewing his samples in the pouches. He quickly realized he was onto something big. Silk soon gave way to more practical materials like gauze and eventually the paper tea bag we all know and love today. The tea bag revolutionized the way people consume tea. No more fussing with loose leaves and strainers, just pop a bag in your cup and hot water and you're good to go. It was a game changer, making tea accessible and convenient for everyone, whether you were at home, at work or on the go. Today, tea bags come in all shapes, sizes and flavors, catering to every tea lover's taste. From classic black teas to exotic herbal blends, there's a tea bag for every mood and occasion. And it all started with a happy little accident over a century ago. Ever wonder how people kept dry and shaded before the days of mass-produced umbrellas? How did people stay protected from the elements? First up, ancient Egypt. You're strolling along the Nile River with the sun blazing overhead. How do you stay cool and look stylish at the same time? Enter the parasol. The Egyptians were rocking sunshades long before SPF was a thing. These umbrellas were made from palm leaves or feathers and were a serious status symbol. Only the elite could afford such luxury, so if you had a parasol, you were basically the Beyoncé of ancient Egypt. The Chinese took the umbrella game to a whole new level around 2000 years ago. They invented the first collapsible umbrella. Talk about being ahead of the curve. These umbrellas were made from bamboo and silk and they were used for both sun and rain protection. The Chinese even waterproofed their umbrellas with lacquer, making them the ultimate all-weather accessory. Plus, they added beautiful designs and decorations, turning umbrellas into works of art, functional and fashionable. Early European umbrellas were often made with oilcloths, effective but not exactly lightweight. Innovators started experimenting with lighter and more durable materials like silk and whalebone for the ribs, making umbrellas easier to carry and less likely to turn inside out with a gust of wind, which is the worst thing that can happen to you during a heavy downpour. But the real game changer came with the invention of the foldable umbrella. You could tuck it away neatly when the rain stopped instead of lugging around a dripping wet canopy. This genius idea is often credited to a Parisian merchant named Jean Marius. In 1710, Marius introduced a compact foldable umbrella design that was an instant hit among the fashionable Parisians. Suddenly, umbrellas weren't just practical, they were chic and portable. It was like magic. The innovation made it super convenient for people to carry umbrellas in their bags or under their arms without any hassle. And let's not forget the fashion factor. As umbrellas became more practical, they also became stylish accessories. People started customizing their umbrellas with intricate designs, fancy handles, and even monograms. An umbrella wasn't just a tool, it was a statement piece. By the late 18th century, it foldable umbrellas were all the rage across Europe. They had become lighter, more reliable, and infinitely more portable. Whether you were strolling through the rainy streets of London, Paris, or Rome, a foldable umbrella was the must-have accessory. The invention of the modern toothbrush. The story of the modern toothbrush starts in the 18th century in England. Meet William Addis, a man who had a bit of a sticky situation. While in jail, yes, you heard that right, in jail, Addis noticed that the traditional method of using rag with soot and salt just wasn't cutting it. He thought to himself, there's got to be a better way, so he got to work. Using a small animal bone, Addis drilled tiny holes and inserted bristles made from boar hair, which he secured with glue. And just like that, the first true prototype of the modern toothbrush was born. Talk about making the best out of a bad situation. After his release, Addis decided to turn his jailhouse innovation into a business. In 1780, he started mass producing his bone and bristle toothbrushes, and they quickly became a hit. People loved the convenience and effectiveness of this new tool. No more messy rags, just a simple brush that got the job done. But the toothbrush didn't stop evolving there. Fast forward to the 19th century and we see the introduction of nylon bristles, no more spicy boar hair. In 1938, DuPont develops the first nylon bristled toothbrush known as the Dr. West Miracle Tuft toothbrush. These synthetic bristles were not only more hygienic but also more durable. The innovation didn't stop with the bristles. The shape of the toothbrush also saw some major upgrades. Handles became more ergonomic and the heads were designed to reach every nook and cranny of your mouth. By the mid-20th century, electric toothbrushes entered the scene, bringing a whole new level of convenience and efficiency to oral care. Today, toothbrushes come in every color of the rainbow with bristles of varying firmness and even fancy features like tongue cleaners and built-in timers. There's a perfect toothbrush for everyone, whether you like to keep it simple or go high-tech with an electric model. Before zippers, there were buttons. These little guys have been around for thousands of years. The oldest known buttons date back to the Indus Valley civilization around 2000 BCE. Made from seashells, they were more for decoration than function. But fast forward to the Middle Ages and buttons became all the rage in Europe. They were made from metal, bone, wood, and even precious stones. Buttons weren't just practical, they were a fashion statement. Imagine having a shirt covered in tiny, intricate works of art. Buttons were great for keeping clothes secure, but they required a lot of patience. Each button had to be individually fastened through a corresponding buttonhole. For those of us who struggle with just a few buttons, think about doing up an entire row in a medieval outfit. Next, we have the hook and eye closure. This nifty little invention dates back to the 14th century. Hooks and eyes were made of metal and sewn into garments to provide a secure fastening. They were often used in corsets, bodices, and other fitted clothing. Hooks and eyes were less visible than buttons, making them perfect for creating a sleek, seamless look. Plus, they were quicker to fasten, a real win for anyone in a hurry to get dressed. Hooks and eyes worked wonders for fitted garments, but they had their limitations. They were strong, but could sometimes come undone if not hooked properly. Plus, they weren't as decorative as buttons, so they were often hidden away in the seams of clothing. Let's not forget the laces and ties. Before zippers, people used to lace up their clothes just like we lace up our shoes today. From the intricate lacing on Renaissance dresses to the studded ties on Viking tunics, laces were versatile and adjustable. They allowed for a custom fit, which was especially handy in a time when clothes were often passed down or altered. And there were the toggles and clasps. They were more common in outerwear and heavy-duty garments. Think of a duffel coat with its chunky wooden toggles or a sailor's jacket with a sturdy metal clasp. They were durable and easy to fasten, even with cold, gloved hands, perfect for braving the elements. These fastening methods were all functional, but they required a bit of effort and patience. Then came the zipper, a game changer that revolutionized the way we fasten our clothes. In the late 19th century, a fellow named Whitcomb L. Judson debuted his clasp locker at the Chicago World's Fair. This early version of the zipper was designed to help people fasten their shoes more easily. It was a row of hooks and eyes that slid together with the pull of a tab. Sounds great, right? Well, not exactly. Johnson's invention was a bit clunky and had a tendency to jam. But hey, every great invention starts from somewhere. Fast forward to 1913 and we meet the real hero of the story, Gideon Sundback. Sundback, a Swedish-American engineer, took Johnson's idea and gave it a major upgrade. He developed the hookless fastener, which featured 2 rows of interlocking teeth made of metal. Sundback's design was smoother, more reliable, and much less likely to jam. In 1917, he received a patent for his design and the modern zipper was born. But wait, it wasn't called a zipper just yet. It wasn't until the 1920s that the B.F. Goodrich Company coined the term zipper for their new line of rubber boots with Sundback's fasteners. They loved the zip sound the fastener made when pulled up and the name stuck. Despite the cool new name, it took a while for the zipper to catch on in the fashion world. Early adopters included military uniforms and boots where the zipper's strength and reliability were crucial. It wasn't until the 1930s that fashion designers started to see the zipper's potential. Suddenly, zippers were everywhere, in dresses, pants, and handbags. They offered a sleek, modern alternative to buttons and hooks, and people couldn't get enough of them. The zipper continued to evolve over the decades. By the mid-20th century, plastic zippers were introduced, making them lighter and more versatile. Today, zippers come in all shapes, sizes, and colors, from tiny zippers on delicate dresses to heavy-duty ones on winter coats and luggage. There are even waterproof zippers for your outdoor gear and invisible zippers for a seamless look. And that's the zippy tale of the invention and development of the zipper. These everyday items might seem small and insignificant, but they play huge roles in making our lives easier, more organized, and a bit more comfortable. It's amazing to think about the creativity and ingenuity that went into their invention and development. Each one has a story, and each one is a testament to human innovation. They're not just objects, they are pieces of history woven into the fabric of our daily routines. Now, I want to hear from you. What are your favorite everyday objects? Is there an item you're curious about that I didn't cover? Drop a comment below and let me know. Your curiosity could be the inspiration for the next video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more intriguing content. We've got plenty of fascinating stories lined up just waiting to be uncovered. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and remember, even the simplest objects can have the most extraordinary histories.